Hello, beautiful lights, and welcome to another episode of From a Medium's Perspective. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about meeting your body deva. And some of you out there might be going, what? Body deva? What? One of my greatest pleasures in doing readings and hosting the show is that I get to encounter concepts that I wouldn't have thought of on my own. In a recent episode with my guest, Alea Dow, author of Seven Cups of Consciousness, one such occasion occurred when she mentioned a body deva. Well, I had never heard of this. And after talking with her for a bit on the show, my curiosity continued, and I decided to do an exclusive show focused on that concept. So what exactly is a body deva? And it's DEVA. Well, her student, Deja Allison, has a website called Gisel Agervais, and that is GYSELAGERVAIS.com. And she had this to say about it, and I'm going to quote, "The idea of what a body deva is not a common one. While most spiritual teachers do teach that we are souls and that we have a physical experience, most of us do not address the issue of what or who the body actually is. Scientists are now acknowledging that the body has a consciousness of its own, but that's as far as they're willing to go, mostly because they have no idea how to identify, measure, and quantify this consciousness, and there's a reason for that. The body deva is the spirit of the body. It's the consciousness or soul of the body. It's the consciousness that the body has been represented by for the majority of the Earth's recent history and for the majority of the population. The agreement for a lot of our history was that the body would be a passive participant while the star souls came in and experienced an earthly experience, allowing the temporary writer of the star soul, in other words, your consciousness, to run the Earth's product, which is the body. Because of that agreement, the lifespan of humans was shortened very dramatically from about 900 or more years down to 70 or 90 years if we're lucky. This is because the star soul has no idea how to run the body, and I think I can relate to that. Only the body deva knows how to do that. So in order to heal or prevent illness or to live for a longer time, that's why your body can cultivate an illness and you can have absolutely no idea that it's there until something significant happens to bring it to your attention. And one of the most exciting things about this is the agreement between the body deva and the star souls is becoming a more collaborative agreement. And a collaborative agreement with our body deva means that our lifespans have the potential to dramatically increase along with that shift. It also means that there are self-treatments of our body and that kind of selfish use of the body, not feeding it correctly, not getting enough exercise or sleep, or however we don't care for our bodies, that's going to change while we honor the fact that we are actually guests in a host body. I know that sounds weird, but anyway, I read on. Also, with a soul capable of transfer limitation, the body deva has a divine line. And what they mean by that is that there's a line that resides within the spinal column. It's that one that runs along the front of the spinal column and starts at the brain and travels down to the coccyx. Energetically, the body's deva's divine line also has a loop that extends both above and below the body, grounding it to the heart of the earth. It's sort of like the lines of the meridian or the flow of our divine source within us. The earth also has a body source, and the body is the consciousness of the earth. So it's really important for the body to regularly connect with its source, just like we do when we regularly connect with our source through prayer or meditation of some time. Our souls came into our host body and we entered through the back of the neck and attached our divine lines to the front of the spine. And I'm going to interject again. Sounds a little creepy, kind of like possession, but this is just kind of an interesting concept that we are in our bodies, but not of our bodies. And that's kind of an interesting thing to ponder. That connection through the earth and back to our source, which creates a cosmic loop. In a healthy star soul divine alignment attachment, the star soul's divine line would be woven to this very finely and create communication potentials through the entire body. And that melding of energies can be seen in the energy fields of the body. Well, I can attest to that. It goes on to say that we as star souls are electrical in nature. If any of you have ever had a relative come through from the other side and play with your lights or your TV, I guess you'd understand that we are most definitely electrical, and science bears that out that we are. But it says that the body is magnetic in nature. I found that very interesting because we do kind of forget about the body, don't we? They go on to say, similarly, those three highest chakras that relate to our star soul and the electric grids, that there are three lower chakras that relate to the body DEVA and the magnetic grids. Then there's, like, as they put it, a magical chakra, which is the fourth chakra, or known as the heart chakra. Some debate whether it's the heart or the solar plexus or whether it's between the two. But anyway, this is the chakra where the two energies mix, the electrical and magnetic. I think of that point as our truth point, which is that solar plexus where it joins the lower part of the heart. But they're saying that's the heart chakra. And that communication begins there. We've heard that intelligence is in the intuition, in the gut, in our knowing. So that's kind of interesting. And that's where communication begins between the two, and it forms a creative power. And this melding, as they call it, creates the most intimate relationship that two souls can have. And I've been thinking, two souls. That's kind of uncomfortable to think that our body has a soul and we have a soul. There's a lot of talk about twin flames, and I'm going to be doing a show probably in the spring about twin flames and soulmates. And there's that idea that is out there about one soul being developed enough to divide itself, sort of like a zygote, or in the womb divides itself to become a separate cell. In this case, to become a separate soul. Maybe our bodies and our spirits are separate. They share the space of one body and learn to cohabitate and cooperate with each other. And that's the next big task in our evolution as humans, to create that harmony, I guess. Abraham Hicks says that a belief is just a thought that we keep thinking. One of the premises of good mediumship is to let go of preconceived ideas that we hold on to so that we can move forward and expand our awareness and stay connected to ultimate truth. For just a minute, just imagine that our body is a sentient, conscious being that is separate from our mind and spirit. Call it a star soul, as they referred to it. This makes an interesting argument because we have our spiritual senses and we have our physical senses. The physical senses we know, touch, taste, smell, hearing, etc. But then we have our spiritual senses, which we've talked about in our episode about the spiritual gifts, telepathy and empathy and clairvoyance and clairaudience and all of those things. C.W. Ledbetter wrote that the chakras are the interface between the two worlds, And that's kind of going along with what Alea's concept is, that they form that interface between those two worlds of the seen and the unseen. My guides had shown me a while back about how the spirit enters and leaves the physical body of a developing baby. We often think as a mother is bringing her pregnancy through to fruition that maybe that baby is just sitting in there perceiving and feeling, and for sure the physical senses are there and there is an awareness. According to this, the physical body would be there in awareness as a separate soul, but that the spirit or the mind awareness enters the body later on in the process. Some people say at birth is when the spirit enters the soul. Other people say, no. I think in the Quran it says at about the 3-month mark of pregnancy. Many of you might also be familiar with the concept that our spirit leaves and enters the body and kind of drifts back and forth when we're dreaming. We step out of our body, or when someone's declining and about to cross over, they might start beginning to perceive people, beings, scenes from the other side, and they might recognize people or be taken by the sounds and sights of the other side before their physical body is left behind. There are other things that can have us leave our body. Drugs definitely can take us out. Surgery and anesthetic. A lot of people have similar to out-of-body experiences or life after death experiences during surgery. Sometimes they remember, sometimes not. There's kind of a amnesia effect when we come back into the physical world. So sometimes we do remember, sometimes we don't. I've mentioned before that alcohol opens the portal. It's not a safe practice for someone who is doing mediumship or psychic work to be drinking. It does open the portal. There are other ways to get that open and have it much more safe, and that would be deep trance meditation. An example of leaving the body and having another spirit take over, we would call that possession. And in that case, it's a more aggressive spirit that takes the place of a spirit currently residing in a particular body. That can be undone too when balance is restored, usually calming the person that is experiencing the predatory influence of a more aggressive spirit and just bringing them into harmony with peace and truth and love. Then there's no place for that other spirit to reside. Kind of given the premise that the body is a separate soul, it somehow seems a little bit more natural that that could happen if we think, well, we're kind of occupying a body. And I'm thinking, oh, that's so curious. Also, when a medium is stepping back, and I use that term to refer to the process of letting go of ego and intellect and allowing consciousness to channel through them for the purpose of mediumship and relaying the messages from loved ones in spirit, that uses the physical body to talk to those that have come to hear from people they would like to hear from. And that got me thinking about the concept that we as women are portals of souls. Literally, a new soul passes through our body and takes on physical form. That's pretty amazing. But if you're a man or you're a woman that has chosen or is unable to have souls that pass through you, it doesn't make you any less of a being, because as mediums, in essence, we are portals to souls. We allow them to come through us to speak to those that are missing them and that need to hear details of things that got lost in the process of their transition. It's cords that tie us together and to our bodies. We have the umbilical cord that ties us to our mother. And as we pass from our mother's womb, the darkness of the womb, into the light of this world, that umbilical cord is cut. Then it's the silver cord that connects us to the next world, that allows us to leave our body during dream state, and that is finally cut when we translate into that next world. So I find this concept of a body DEVA very interesting one. Perhaps you're familiar with the movie Avatar. That ran through my mind. And I started to think about the body as if it were an avatar of our soul. And that made me think about the possibilities that we do pick our body to pair with, and that we choose our astrological identity, an entry point through astrological point in time that imbues us with the psychic and mental and physical characteristics that we need in order to don a body for our purposes here on earth. And I'm not saying it isn't a strange concept, and I'm still allowing the idea to settle in my mind, but I do find it interesting. Have you ever woken up from a deep sleep and felt that you were sort of walking heavy in your body, like your spirit wasn't quite lodged right, and you could feel the weight of your body, or that you felt that your body felt particularly heavy, like it was a separate entity? If you have, you might be able to more easily understand. I had an occurrence recently where I channeled a very high vibrational energy for a client that was asking highly esoteric questions about the one, the all, the source. And I got into that higher vibrational state, and it made it a little difficult to return to my body. I actually didn't expect to go as deep or as high, or however you want to think about that, as I got into for that reading. When I tried to come back and ground myself, as I normally do after a reading, I started experiencing vertigo, and it seemed like I wasn't able to ground. I didn't feel like I was in my body, and I was trying to eat some things and tapping my cheeks and kind of pinching myself lightly to see if I could get an awareness of my body back. I was able to drive home safely from my office. And as I was walking up to the door of my home, I was really aware of how heavy my body was and how toxic it felt. If you've ever driven a car that just resists and you're just like forcing it through, that's how it felt. I began to understand why people would choose not to re-enter their bodies after a traumatic event. I'm sure you've heard of life after death experiences. Those were the ones that have been told to us by people that decided to re-enter their body. And of course, there are many people that didn't decide to take on that weight of the physical existence again. From a body deva perspective of having to rejoin their body essence or sentience in an effort to continue the journey, for me, that day, it took me 3.5 hours to recover from that deep channeling. And I felt a little a kilter for a couple of days. There was a friend of mine who saw me almost immediately after that and said that she could see that my soul, or the energy in my body that's normally present, wasn't lodged properly inside my body, but rather tethered by a tangle of cords that she kind of felt like she should have been able to straighten out. But sleep is restorative, and that 3.5 hours of rest got me back in my body properly. There's another interpretation of the body deva, and that comes to us from the website soul-guidance.com, and it's referred to by a more traditional name. I didn't realize when Alea was talking about it that she was talking about the body elemental, which is quite an old term. It comes out of Hinduism and is quite an ancient concept. The function of the body elemental is to first build the form of your body. And I'm going to read here. The function of this body elemental is to first build the form of your body through the process of conception and gestation, to help it grow and to mature, and then stay with a person until the life expectancy of that individual terminates. The body elemental is a highly developed spirit being of the earth element. The body elemental is responsible for the well-being of your body and manipulates the energies from nature and from our higher bodies to make it suitable for the etheric, and therefore the physical body. And in that way, keeping the energy levels up for every cell and organ in your body. This helps your body to function properly in the physical realm in your everyday life, so that you can fulfill a greater life purpose in the outer world. Therefore, the body elemental is instrumental in aiding in any self-healing process. It knows the blueprint of your atomic molecular structure right down to the DNA and RNA cellular level, because the body elemental helped create your very physical body as a house for the soul. It knows exactly where the trauma is and the memories that have been stored, and holds the roadmap to pinpoint the locations to that certain problem. It's best able to retrieve the information and release the new house of how to best facilitate self-healing or healing in others. So your body elemental can be contacted by meditation or in a healing session to help with the healing process and keeping the body healthy. With all elements or nature spirits, you have to approach your body elemental with respect. Don't expect it to do all the hard work. And I am certainly guilty of that. I drive my body like it doesn't have any needs sometimes, and that's just not good. So I think I'll probably change that. You have a big part to play in keeping yourself healthy by what you eat and drink and by your lifestyle. Apparently, the body elemental sits in a place, and they say between the solar plexus and heart chakras. That's where your solar plexus and heart are. So right in that truth center, as I was referring to earlier, connecting the soul and the body to the divine mind elemental, which sits above. A man named Marco Pajanic describes the feeling of the body elemental as a warm, fur-like construction which supports the body from the ground up. And he references that to the god Pan from Greek mythology, who is the feeder of blocks, the god of herds, fertility and male sexuality. Pan has the horns and legs of a goat and plays a pipe with 7 reeds, as in rushes and reeds. An ancient god, he doesn't have any moral or social aspect whatsoever, and is simply the embodiment of pure basic instinct. And I think that is the basic level that we are all comprised of, because all of us are born with instinct, fear, survival, heat, warmth, sex, shelter, clothing, being safe. Those things are innate in all of us, even at an animal instinct level. And then as we develop our gift, we start moving along that spectrum through intuition, which must be the introductory level of our soul or our spirit, our mind intelligence. As we develop our connection with the higher realm in our bodies, we develop that on through psychic ability, the word of wisdom. You just say something and it's like, I was pretty smart. But you might not know where that information comes from. And then it goes on into mediumship, developing our intuition through the stage of mediumship. Same continuum, same ability. Everyone can do this if you wish to. Mediumship is where you're able to actually identify and classify the source of your information, describe it, and channel that. Getting back to Pan, the lower 3 chakras, is an ancient god, no moral or social aspect, and the embodiment of basic instinct, as we said. Some say that Pan introduced Apollo to the art of prophecy, which is kind of interesting because that would be along that interface line of the chakras. Pan especially loves mountains and wild country and has a dark aspect that causes men and animals to suddenly go mad with terror in distant, lonely places. So if you're in a distant, lonely place, I don't think you'd want to call on Pan for help. I don't think so. His name is the root word for the word panic. That's where the word comes from. In our modern times, spiritually gifted people have experiences with Pan in his traditional form. So our quest for understanding really continues. There's a biblical reference to the body housing a soul that refers to the body as a temple that needs to be taken care of. And it's really not so different from the above concepts of a body elemental or a body deva. If we have a temple that we're supposed to maintain, that sounds like it's separate from us too, because it houses our souls. It would be important to care for our bodies and love our bodies and care for the vehicle that houses our soul. It's the only one that we have. So I guess it would be a good idea to think about it on occasion. I did want to take just a second. I don't often get a chance to do this, but I want to give a big holla out and shout out to our audio editor, Darlene Spees. Because of her, the YouTubes that are getting posted on that site are a lot clearer. She takes out about 45 and ums that I say and clears up people's background noises, etc. And she inserts some just absolutely amazingly beautiful pictures. So they're a little bit more pleasant and professional to look at. So thank you, audio editor Darlene Spees. Appreciate your work. So we're talking about the body deva. We're talking about the fact that it houses us sort of as a temple for our soul or a box for us to live in. I don't know. Sometimes our bodies are very vulnerable, so we need to be able to take care of them the best that we can. One of the ways that we can take care of ourselves and love our bodies and to take care of them is to use proper psychic self-protection when you're experiencing encounters with the other side or working on your deeper meditation or exploring things, astro traveling or remote viewing, or just getting in touch with different aspects of our non-physical self, our subtle body self. The first step of psychic self-protection is grounding and then connecting upward, then relaxing into that meditation. There are a few more steps to that I talk about in the protocol. One is to clear the space, to ground, then invoke, then set your intent, and then work, and then close your energies back. And we were talking in the last segment about how that can be a challenge. Sometimes if you have had an out-of-body experience during surgery, or whether you have done so during a meditation or a channeling. But it happens. Just be kind to the body and it'll let us get right back in there. Give it some rest. And if you'd like some details about psychic protection in general, I have a segment that you might find interesting on YouTube and on my website at mediumtracylockwood.com. It is not a fear-based thing. It's a very positive look at psychic self-protection. Hopefully very useful. Well, on lightworkersworld.com, I found some tips to connect you to your body deva and gain more body wisdom. And I think that it's true for all of us. We get busy and we don't take time necessarily to feel what our body needs in terms of proper food or rest or any of the physical things we need. This exercise is designed to help you focus on the vibration of your body deva. It isn't one of those where you feel blocks or finding out what's going on that's creating a problem for you. This is another type of exercise where you're looking for the quality and tone, the feeling or intuitive understanding of the vibration that you meet up with as your body deva. When you are fully grounded, the first step would be to ground yourself. Grounding is just a connection to the earth that's feeling like you're present in your body, that the stress that you have has dropped off of you, and you're connected to the earth and a part of the earth. Because we get so busy we forget our natural environment sometimes. We can literally get so caught up in the drama of our lives that we look up and go, oh, it's winter. Oh, it's spring. And we might miss some of those steps. So being connected to the earth is the first step in this exercise. And what you would do is just invite your body deva to express itself and become evident to you in a more conscious way so that you notice the energy that's in you. What do you feel? Do you have a sense that there is an energy to connect to there? And there is. So just keep trying. And then what do you sense in your physical body? What do you sense with that? What do you notice with your own energy? It's kind of like objectively looking at yourself. And it can sometimes help to put the vibration of your body, Deva, out in front of you and just witness it more clearly. Be curious about that vibration and the level of consciousness that you encounter. Sometimes it can help to imagine that it has a voice or project an image that will help you discern its qualities. And as you observe your own body, Deva, energy and its level of consciousness, sort of let your awareness begin to clarify what you are experiencing in that particular moment. Is the energy open and expanded? Is there tension in that energy field? Can you discern a particular quality or tone in the energy or consciousness? If this were a person and you were looking behind a curtain to see how they work, sort of the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz, what would you start to understand about the work of the body, Deva? Then you can experiment. This is taking it to a higher level, and you can engage with your body, Deva, and ask it to interact with other energies around you. It's worth giving it a go and seeing what it does. What if you could, on one hand, keep an awareness of your body, Deva, and have those experiences while also holding a clear experience of your own energy running through your core? I think that is possible. How do the two of you get along? Can you let the two meet and just say hello? These energies of your body and spirit, can you let them start to mingle and soften and unwind where there is tension? As I mentioned, there's only initial tension between these two levels of consciousness because they've been so split apart for so long. But there is a truly wonderful level of healing that can come by allowing your two vibrational forces to come together and unwind and begin to partner. And just let your own energetic intelligence do the work as you observe that interaction. And I'm ending her section of dialogue. There are some turn-of-the-century references to the body elemental as Madame Blavatsky brought Eastern thought to the Western world. The body elemental that we've been talking about as opposed to our subtle body. And our subtle body, there are actually 5 layers of that as well. I don't know if the first level of that would be the body elemental. It's the physical level of our being. The subtle bodies go in this order. They go physical, etheric, astral, mental, causal. And the causal level is where our Akashic records are stored. That might be a term that's more familiar to us. It's the higher self, the part of us that experiences multiple lifetimes and doesn't forget anything. Everything is written there and not forgotten. The mental layer, going down a notch, is where the divine mind resides. And then below that is the astral realm and the etheric realm. Those are the realms of spirit. Then the physical realm, of course, is the most dense layer of that subtle body. I'm guessing that that's the part that gets manifested through the body elemental. It's important to take care of our body. And for many of us, we have craving for foods that aren't particularly good for us, or we just want to eat something that's not good for us. So I looked up something for you and ran across a helpful article on alexandrajameson.com. It talks about the top 3 craving swaps for nutritional healing and satisfaction. And they said that if you crave chocolate, that you're really needing magnesium. So if you're craving chocolate instead, you're going to find satisfaction in eating raw nuts like almonds and cashews and seeds like hemp. Dates are really good for cutting a chocolate craving. Amaranth, which is that little teeny grain, I think it's the smallest grain ever, and sea vegetables as well. Also, beans and legumes are very helpful. Those are lentils and pinto beans and fava beans and chickpeas and all those yummy things. They can help your craving with chocolate. But chocolate is also a craving for chromium, and that is found in sea vegetables, but it's also found in mushrooms and beets. Beets is not generally a popular favorite, although I love beets, pickled or otherwise. Nutritional yeast is a possible source of chromium, and broccoli, and grapes, and dried beans, calf's liver, and I'm going to pass on the calf's liver, and chicken. Another craving that we have need of if we're craving chocolate is phosphorus, and you can find that in chicken, beef, liver, poultry, fish, eggs, dairy products, nuts, legumes, and grains. For me, dairy and grains don't work so well, so if you have an allergy to something or it's something bothers you, you can shift to something else that works within that field there. For me, grapes and nuts and chicken would work really great. If you're craving sweets in general, and those are like just a sweet, sugary craving, you're probably craving sulfur. That can be found in sea vegetables, in garlic and onions. So throw some garlics and onions on top of your chicken and broccoli, make a stir fry. Nettles and horseradish, cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower, broccoli. Kale is really good, and cabbage. Tryptophan is another thing that triggers our need for sweets if we're too low on it. You can find that in cheese and liver. You can find it in lamb, raisins, sweet potatoes, and spinach. I'm sure you can come up with a good meal to cut that craving out if you wanted to take care of your body, DEVA. All of them lower your cravings for sweets. But if your nemesis is bread and toast, and that's the hardest thing for you to give up, it's probably a nitrogen deficiency. And eating high protein foods like meat, fish, nuts, and beans is going to help you. I wanted to share a quote with you. Alan Cohen has a great quote, and it's appropriate for today since we've been talking about such an unusual topic. Alan Cohen says, "It takes a lot of courage to release the familiar and seemingly secure to embrace the new, but there's no real security in what is no longer meaningful. There is more security in the adventurous and exciting, for in movement there is life, and in change there is power." And I just love that. I have one more exercise for you. If the chakras are the interface between the body elemental and the subtle bodies, the seen and the unseen, the body and the spirit, then the chakras are pretty important. I was introduced to the concept of chakras, the energy centers in our body, by a friend of mine named Calissa. And she showed me how to do this before I even thought about using my gift for mediumship. We were sitting around, we had been out for the day running errands and talking. We got to a coffee shop and we were sitting there. She said, "Would you like to know how to align your chakras?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know what they are." And she said, "Well, they're like balls of energy that go up your body. They're different sizes, and you can change the size of them if you would like." And I thought, oh, cool. So we're just kicked back at the coffee shop. No big deal, no deep meditation, no serious anything. She said that I could do it myself. So she had me relax in a chair. And if you would like to do this along with me, I'd be happy for you to. She said, just focus on the lowest level in your body, which is the bottom of your spine. That chakra is red. Just imagine that it is a turning ball of energy, and you want to bring it about the size of a softball. Just clean it off, Let any of the debris or the junk that gets stuck in it out. Just drop it off, clear it off, and if it's a little murky, brighten it up a little bit and polish it, shine it up, and set it to spinning. Then you move on up to your orange chakra. For ladies, is around the uterus. For men, it's just below the belly button. It's an orange ball of energy. And again, you would move it around and clear off any of the junk and unwanted objects that are attached to it, clarify its color, and set it to just spinning like liquid honey gold. Just beautiful color. Line it up with the one underneath so that they're spinning happily at the same speed. And then moving up to the solar plexus chakra, you have a yellow chakra. So let that be cleared off. Just get rid of all the junk that's inhibiting your ability to perceive and to know. Let that extra unwanted things fall away and clarify that light and that color. Get it spinning in the same direction and the same speed as the two right below it. Then moving up, creating almost a harmonic event in the three lower ones. Of course, those are the ones best connected to the earth. We're going to move on up to the heart chakra, which is green and full of healing. You can spin that chakra around and you're getting more and more efficient. So go ahead and clear it off and clear it up, and then set it into alignment with the other chakras that are below it. Then moving up to your throat chakra, same thing. That is the voice. It is our ability to speak our truth. It is our authentic voice. It's blue. So do the same there, clearing it up, clearing it off, and aligning it. And up to our third eye, which is located at the brow level, right between the brow, about an inch above. That's the one where you project images when you have memories, and it is also where your clairvoyant sight begins. Just go ahead and clean that one up and clean that one out and set it in line. And going on up to the top crown chakra, which is above your head. It's kind of a violet gold color. It's sometimes seen as violet, sometimes as gold. You're going to calm yours down, get it about the same size as the others. Some see it as white or violet light, and you're going to clear that out too. Allow that to come into alignment with the rest of things, and then just kind of doing a visual check. You're going to go down and make sure that all of them are spinning in the same direction, being the same size as you come down the colors of violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. I just want to thank you for joining us for another episode of From a Medium's Perspective. Again, if you'd like to find me, I'm at mediumtracylockwood.com. I'd love it if you'd friend me on Facebook at Psychic Medium Tracey Lockwood. And we'll see you next week. Next week, we're going to be talking with musician, composer Joy Truskowski, local talent here in Roanoke, Virginia. And she's going to talk to us about creative collaboration with dreams, how her dreams have created her music, or at least begun the process. So we will see you next week for a view of life from a medium's perspective. I'd like to leave you with a blessing, and that is, may today there be peace within. May you trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith in yourself and in others and in the source of our light and love. May you use the gifts that you have received and pass on the love that's been given to you. May you be content with yourself just the way you are. Happiness is there for each and every one of us. Go in peace, and remember, it's never inappropriate to be kind, and without integrity, you have nothing. See you next week.